Superpod 2020, raising money for sport relief. 2 days of great comedy and sporting podcasts. Desert Island Dicks, legend in my spare time. Sports Spiel, how not to be an idiot. The Dredgeland Podcast Spectacular, and more. Saturday 7th and Sunday 8th of March at The Social in Southampton. And you can be there too. Free entry until 7 p.m. and then ticket only from 7 p.m. Tickets available now at superpod.co.uk. If you can't be in Southampton, the whole event will be streamed live online on your smart speaker and on Facebook Live. Find Superpod UK on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and use the hashtag Superpod2020. For more information, visit superpod.co.uk.
Ladies and gentlemen, Legend in My Spare Time podcast.
Legend of My Spare Time.
Legend in My
Spare Time contains themes and subjects that may not be suitable for everyone listening. If you're easily offended, we suggest you get your podcast on elsewhere.
Motherfucker!
Legend of My Spare Time.
Legend in My Spare Time.
Welcome, you loyal listeners, to a special edition of the Legend in My Spare Time podcast. I say special in every episode, and every
episode is special.
That's right. Thank you very much. There he is. A man that I've known now for 10 years, and we've podcasted together many times. I think we said last time we were together, his first episode was 5 or 6, if that long, and he's here once again from Mars Needs Podcasts, and another super rare human being, because one that I have allowed to be in my home, in my house, with my family. It's JJ motherfucking Hawkins. Welcome, sir.
I scared his cats. It was delightful.
You did, and you scared a cab driver, but we talked about that last week. He did not want none.
And apparently, according to you, I also may have scared a group of chavs. So, cool.
Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. So it's a wonderful day because we're podcasting together, and we thought it was time to catch up. And I always love being able to catch up with you. Now, for listeners of my show, if you're wondering where Just Johnny is, no, I didn't fire him, and no, I didn't break up with him. I saw him like 2 fucking days ago. Don't worry. He's one of the other people that's allowed in the house with the family.
I saw him there in the house.
You did. You met him. He's real.
We played games. We played Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, we did. I love that game. I don't know where it's at. Where you been all my life? And I went on now, for those of you who don't know, Cards Against Humanity is basically like who's the most disturbed, right? And I went on like a 6-game winning streak or something. So just digest that for my longtime friends. Anyway, Just Johnny, new job, different schedule. We haven't ironed it all out yet, but don't worry. Don't worry.
Much is the same case with me and Jason, which
exactly.
is why Mars Needs is taking a winter hibernation at the moment.
That's right. So you and I can podcast together, when we're around to fill out a few episodes. And the history of this show is a cycling Rolodex of podcast co-hosts from around the world. And that's pretty cool. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to rotate through all my good buddies. And, it's all downhill from here, in my opinion, my friend. So there we are. It's been, it's 2020, it's the fucking new year. Same shit. I think I sent to you the other day, New Year, same morons.
Yeah. And I sent back to you, well, that's better than new morons in the same year.
That's true. That's very true. So, it's the same old rubbish. And I can ask you how your holiday season and all that was, but that's kind of like the BS that they do on shows, and people at my work are still asking you how your Christmas was and stuff. And I'm like, it's the 7th of January, man. Move on with your life.
Right. And you want to know that I do have an answer for that. That's a little weird. And the fact that I haven't taken the time to do my usual Christmas celebrations yet, because I haven't had the time off to do it. Like, the chunk. So the only person that I really have stuff from that sends me anything for Christmas is Jason, and it's still in the box that it got shipped to. So my Christmas, yes, it's December 7th. I haven't had Christmas yet, but I will.
When you get to it, when you get around to it. I mean, a big highlight of my Christmas this year, of course, was you being here with us,
Well, that's actually why Christmas for me has been kind of postponed, and the fact that I have little rituals that I like to do, like I like to have rum in my coffee. I like to not have any place to go. I like to be able to watch Christmas movies and eat, like cheese and, I know it's not, but it's just these little things that I like to do. And I haven't had a full day yet where I could just like disengage and do the thing of where I'm not someone who opens everything all at once. I like to open something and enjoy it. And then maybe, have a spiked coffee and, look at the Christmas lights and you've got a buzz and everything's cool. And then, maybe an hour later you open something else and Christmas takes all day that way. Yeah.
I like it. There is something to better than the whole and there's a pile of paper and it's over,
Yeah, because you look forward to it all year and you decorate your house, and then Christmas is like 5 minutes long, and then you fall asleep again.
Yeah, and then your house looks empty when you take all your shit down.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you and I and our listeners and friends will know we've had tumultuous years.
Yeah.
Or recent times. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say neither you nor I had, top 10 Christmas season. Nor did my family, obviously. So I think, here's to next year. You know what I mean?
Here's to next year.
Next year.
And I would, with that again, I would put the caveat of the fact that I did spend 7 days in Europe, and that was delightful. So
we went to fucking Stonehenge, didn't we, Bat?
Fucking rock formation, isn't it?
There's a big fucking round bunch of rocks in it. They don't know where they fucking came from. Well, they know they came from fucking Wales, but they don't know who the fuck put them there. No. I know who the fuck did they get them on top of each other. Look how fucking high they are.
Last night I almost watched I ended up going back to, there's a Disney Plus series called The Imagineering Story that if you are a Disney nerd in any way, it's so good.
Oh yeah.
But they had a National Geographic special on Stonehenge, and I was like, do I want to watch that, or do I want to watch Imagineering? And I watched Imagineering and then fell asleep, but it was good.
I mean, now of course I have never seen this show because it's obviously not available in the UK yet, so of course I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure did I tell you to watch it?
So you told me that it existed and said that it might be relevant to my interests.
Correct. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly the conversation we had. You have such a better memory than me, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So that obviously means then we can't talk about The Mandalorian because, of course, I haven't seen it. I don't even know what a Baby Yoda is. I can imagine, though, that I would have fucking loved it, but who knows? What we can talk about is that we haven't done yet. I'm sure everyone's done it, so we can touch on it briefly. The movie you went to see on Christmas Day.
Can we put a pin in that for a minute?
Yes.
Because let's just say we said something about the fact that I might have something to say a little later.
Yes. Is that related to it?
Let's put a pin in that.
All right. Okay.
We'll put a pin in Mandalorian. We'll put a pin in all of that.
Okay.
And we'll hold on to that, and we'll talk about, you said you wanted to maybe touch on something else first. We'll touch on that. And then just in case I get on a tirade, which may or may not happen.
I'm down with it. There's only one snag in this scenario.
Okay.
You mentioned me mentioning something I wanted to mention, and I have no idea what that was.
Oh, you said you wanted to talk about the Golden Globes, and I haven't seen the Golden Globes, so I'm like, what's that?
See, we talk about rituals and Christmas rituals. I have a podcast ritual. You've been in my home. You know exactly what it is. The listeners may or may not. It's none of their fucking business. But
you do laundry.
That's right. I do laundry. That would be why I
do laundry before the episode.
Of course, you have to, because if you don't have, I can't settle unless there's clean underwear in the dryer. You know what I mean? I just can't settle. So I want to talk about the Golden Globes. You have not seen then the Ricky Gervais opening monologue?
So there's two things. There's two things there. I don't have I don't pay for cable. I've been a cable cutter for a long time, and I don't have a digital antenna, so I don't pick up networks. And so I saw it was on YouTube, but I also really fucking hate Ricky Gervais.
Oh well, then I know you've mentioned that to me. Then you'll hate it, but I fucking loved it. Now, I don't before people jump on me about it. I am a longtime wrestling fan, and we always joke Vince McMahon's 2 rules of wrestling. Rule number 1, it's always a work. Rule number 2 is see rule number 1.
Right, exactly.
Rachel and I apply that to all forms of entertainment, if not life. Right, so you'll be watching a reality show and be like, it's a work. So of course I know this thing was written, okay, and I know maybe some people knew about it and whatever. Either way, it was fucking funny. It was brutal. And it was great watching people squirm in the crowd. He went for people hard.
Okay.
So again, I'm not going to try to repeat the whole thing. I think people should listen to it. I may even put it in. I wish I had my old setup where I could play it so that you could hear it too. And we could listen together. But again, you hate him, but that might be kind of fun. You know, something that one of us is into and the other isn't, you know, maybe we should stick a pin in that idea too.
Right.
But I thought it was fucking awesome. He finished the ending because it's been put in memes everywhere, so I'm not really spoiling anything. And if I'm spoiling a fucking monologue from the Golden Globes, you need to get over yourself. But he finished with essentially like, listen, when you come up here and get your awards, you have no basis for reality. You have no idea. You have no right to speak about the real world. Just take your award, thank your agent, thank your God, and fuck off. And he kept referring to the fact that this is the last time he's doing the Golden Globes, so he doesn't care anyway. He says, the world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the film Cats. See, now I don't know if I've lost connection or if you're just no-selling Gervais hard. All right.
I'm listening. No, I'm listening. Okay, because here's my thing.
I was kind of waiting for a laugh, but I guess not. The fat pussy thing's funny, right? Because you can see it coming a mile away, but it's funny.
Oh yeah, no, it is. No, okay. So here's kind of my thing about comedy, and part of what I don't necessarily like about Ricky Gervais, and this doesn't necessarily work for James Corden, but it's part of my thing about Ricky Gervais. Are you familiar with the term punching up? With
reference to a relationship.
Okay, so punching up in comedy basically means that the people that you attack, it's one thing if you attack, say, the Disney Corporation, because the Disney Corporation does in fact own everything. Disney is, although they put out a lot of entertainment that gets a lot of money from me, they are still at the end of the day a huge corporation that is making fuck tons of money, and at some point you have to go, enough's enough. So that's what you call punching up, when you make fun of the Disney Corporation.
Well, he did that too.
Right, which, again, that's perfectly okay. But, they are fair game. They are a company that we should enjoy and fear in equal measures.
Of course, we respect them, and they even on podcasts and things, you can't play their shit. You can't really mention their name. You know what I mean? That right. Shall not be named.
And and I watched that show that you you recommended to me on Disney Plus, which I paid for a year. And I went to a Disney park last year. I was going to say earlier this year, but it is a new year now. I love me some Disney. So, but also, we should kind of fear their amassing of power. So that is definitely punching up. When you are attacking somebody for their weight, that's when I start to get like, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I know he does a lot of like jokes, digs like that, but
it kind of like I remember having an argument with a friend of mine years ago with the whole when Kanye West stole Taylor Swift's award. Okay, now Taylor Swift now versus Taylor Swift then is a different story. If you think of the Taylor Swift now, you're like, no, attack that bitch all you want, whatever. Just in the fact that she is an established artist who has had a history of like stealing culture and lying about it, and so she's not someone that can't take a hit or two, which is why I was saying it doesn't really work with James Corden, because he also is wealthy and powerful and doing just fine. But the Taylor Swift that was attacked by Kanye West that year was a 19-year-old girl who that was like her first major award. And fucker had to go up there and take it from her. And at that time, you didn't know if she was going to have a long career. She was just a little kid that went up to get an award. And douchebag had to go, you don't deserve this. Fuck you, asshole.
She should have punched him in the face.
Yeah.
But, saying that, he does mention he accuses the audience, which is full of celebs, by the way. You all say you're woke and you work for Disney and Amazon and whatever else the references were. And he says, companies that run sweatshops in China, and you think you're woke. So he did, I thought it was very funny. Tom Hanks did not think it was funny, if you go back and watch the footage, because you cut away some celebrities at certain points. He talks about The Irishman, which I haven't seen yet. He talks about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I haven't seen yet. He talks about Once Upon a Time being in Hollywood being so long that by the time the movie ended, Leonardo DiCaprio's date was too old for him.
To
which Leo laughed. He then went on to make a Prince Albert reference. So then you're like, oh, you're skirting just a bit. But yeah, I thought overall it was really funny. You can tell he did not give a fuck about it. He said that his last TV series was a series about a man whose wife dies of cancer, so he's going to kill himself. And he still enjoys that more than this fucking award show.
Oh, Jesus.
So I don't know how he got up there and got away with it and they let him finish the show. Obviously, somebody knew what the fuck was going on. There was a Vince McMahon somewhere that okayed that. So, check it out,
because for one thing, somebody was like, this will be talked about.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely going to be their most hashtags and their most, they're going to be, they're trending on Twitter and all that BS. But I thought it was really funny. If you don't like him, you won't like it, obviously, but good on him. And people are calling it hateful. And I'm like, it wasn't hateful. Come on. Did he hurt the movie stars' feelings? Come on.
Right. And again, and part of it again is I have those mixed feelings on if you were going after established movie stars, like if you're going after Tom Hanks, sure.
And that's pretty much what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going after somebody who it's like their first film or it's their first major award, I'm like, at that point, that's when I start to go, fuck you.
Yeah. He accuses the Hollywood national press of being racist, and that's why there's not more people of color nominated for awards.
And that's true.
Right? And I'm like, well, it's true. Why are people mad at him? But I wouldn't say it's hateful. I think you'll enjoy it just for the reactions of the crowd. Would be they celebrities or not. Some of my favorite parts of watching comedy stand-up is watching the people react in the crowd. And it's great to watch people. So the people who love it and the people who are like, goodness gracious. I just can't believe he said that.
Right.
But again, you don't know how much of that is worked too, because they're like, there's a camera on me, I better act disgusted.
Right. And there's also the whole Ricky Gervais is in that category of the it's okay, I offend everybody. And it's not okay to offend everybody. Have a viewpoint, you fucker.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thought it was very funny, but I'm kind of a dick.
Well, I'm not saying that it's not. I don't know. And even earlier when I felt bad because I was listening to you, it wasn't that I was giving you the crickets. I was actually just listening to what you had to say.
Yeah, I just thought I just assumed, being us as close as we are, you were just no-selling. Yeah, that's always my assumption. I was like, did he just no-sell my joke? Which Rachel accused me of just the other day. She accused me of no-selling one of her jokes.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, shark has veins. Which is, what's funny? I'm going to make a confession to you. I don't really know what that expression means. Sometimes I use it.
I don't know what it means. I'll be quite honest. I couldn't even fully hear what you said, but I liked it.
Shark has veins.
Oh, shark has veins. Yeah, no, fuck that. I don't know what that means at all.
It's a thing that Redman said to Method Man, I think, in a stoner movie once, when somebody yelled at them and they were like, whoa, shark has veins. That may not be it. Maybe someone will correct me. Who the fuck cares? Yeah,
exactly. But now it's an expression for you. Hey. I was talking about the fact that I have things that I say all the time that if I like really sat down and thought about it, I realize are things that I got from movies, but I've said them for so long now, I don't think of them as they're not to me. If I say, may the force be with you, I'm obviously making a Star Wars joke.
Mm-hmm.
But if something goes wrong and I'm like, oh, fuck me, that's something I have said for so long that I don't think of it as a RoboCop reference.
Yeah, I have a lot of those. And as I took Rachel through catching up on all my favorite TV shows, movies over the years, she'll still randomly look at me and go, is any of your shit fucking original?
No.
No. Because, on Only Fools and Horses, Del Boy will say some line that I say to her forever and she's never noticed it before. You're right. They get ingrained in you. And what's fun here is I make tons of like Seinfeld references because here, like basically no one's ever seen them. So they have no idea what I'm talking about. So they just think I'm weird, but I think it's fun.
Right. Whereas I was never a massive Seinfeld fan, but one thing that definitely kept me from, because here it played on like 5 different channels, like all day long,
of course,
constantly. And I was for years I had a job where I worked the quote unquote hot food station in a restaurant, which basically meant that I made paninis and served soup. Mm-hmm. And God help you anytime that place made fucking mulligatawny soup. Oh, you didn't go there immediately. I kind of thought you might have made the connection.
I no sold you.
So that means you did get it, you bitch. But for anyone who doesn't watch as much Seinfeld as I know that he does, mulligatawny is the soup that the soup Nazi served that everybody went crazy over. And so every time we'd have mulligatawny, I would have, like, because we would get soups for a week. So I'd have a full week of people going, ooh, no soup for you. I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah, no soup. I met the actor who played Soup Nazi in Toronto at a Comic-Con once, and he was a lovely man.
Well, I met a very lovely man. I didn't know him from Seinfeld. I knew him from other work, but he played Elaine's English boss, the one who would eat a candy bar with a fork and knife.
Yeah. Now you've told me, but you probably haven't told them. So, but yeah, he's a tremendous actor, hilarious in that show as well.
Yeah, the actor is Ian Abercrombie. I don't remember the character's name, but he was also on. He was in like
Mr. Pitt.
Okay, Mr. Pitt, but he was also in Army of Darkness. He was in the television show Birds of Prey. He played Alfred, but he was a lovely man, and so I got to sit down and talk with him one afternoon. It was well before podcasting, well before I think podcasting was even. Well, I can't say it was before podcasting was a thing, because I was around that time that before I had that job, I worked in a bagel shop where I saw. Do you know the actor Michael Chiklis?
I know the name, and I'm sure I'd know his face. Let me look him up while you tell.
He was on The Shield. He played the Thing in the first 2 Fantastic Four movies.
Yep.
At the time, it was before The Shield and before Fantastic Four. I mean, we're talking like 2000-ish, where he was mainly known for a show called the Commish. But he was in the bagel shop in line, and behind him was a former MTV VJ called, I believe it was Mark Goodman. And the two of them were negotiating a deal to have Michael Chiklis on his internet radio show. And so that was kind of the first time that I was like, oh, there's radio shows on the internet?
Ding, light went off. And here we are 10 years later, rich and famous from our podcasts.
Woo.
But yeah, I make a lot of George Costanza references at work, and no one gets it. And most of them are just me raging in the third person. So as people walk away from me, I'll just go, Leesy's getting upset! And they'll just look at me. We're living in a society. And people just stare at me like, he's nuts.
But that's kind of what we were saying about the fact that if it's something you live with enough, it's not really a reference anymore. It's actually just the way that you speak.
How? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there are certain things that I'll only do around Jason. Like there's this one thing that I don't know how this became an oddly personal podcast, but there's a phrase that we've used for years when you can't believe something, when you're like, can't be, fucking can't be, and that's taken from a comic strip that we read when we were kids. So
yeah, and you keep them, you take them along with you, and sometimes other people get them, and it's really sweet when it happens.
Yeah, of course it was can't be asterisk, cloud, @ sign, number sign.
Of course.
Can't
be.
But it was can't be. Fucking can't be. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are not oddly, but yes, because we had a little like nice chitter chatter before. We're all like smooth and personal and emotional.
Yeah.
Place your bets, listeners, on which one of us cries first.
Oh, gee,
starting now.
And go. Okay, so here's something I have been chomping at the bit kind of to have an opportunity to say.
Is it time for Grumpy JJ?
It might be time for Grumpy JJ. I'm going to try to get to Grumpy JJ slowly. I might be able to stay logical JJ, but there's definitely some grump in here.
I think we need a Grumpy JJ theme song one day.
Maybe. So before I go off on all of this, one of the things that is a key to everything I'm going to say, and I want to state it clearly now, is that any way that you interact with any form of art, be it film, television, a painting, a sunset, however you interact with it, and it makes you feel, is 100% correct and valid. All opinions are just that. They are personal. So if I am sharing my opinion on something and you do not agree with it, your opinion is still valid. Cool. There we go. So there's two things that are really kind of pissing me off that I haven't talked about. I know. There's the first. I know
where you're going now, so that's why I'm.
Before I go off onto the Disney-owned property that I will probably be talking about in a moment, there's another thing that I haven't had a chance to talk about because the podcast has been on hiatus. And I just wanted to, and this is way late now. It's just something I want to touch base on because it is just people are still bringing it up. And now that this movie's about to come out on home devices, it's kind of being mentioned again. And the fact that, speaking of art, I have had zero desire whatsoever to see the film Joker.
Okay.
Doesn't look like my kind of film. I have no doubt that Joaquin Phoenix turns in a perfectly good performance, but not only did the trailer make it look like it was not my kind of film, as well, every time the director opens his fucking mouth, I want to stick, I'll say my foot down his throat.
Yeah.
One of the things he has talked about a number of times is how he used to do edgy comedies. Now, your tastes might vary. Comedy is very suggestive.
Well, it is.
Once a phrase that I have quoted many times on my own podcast, you probably heard me say this, is a quote from Roger Ebert, saying that the two things that are completely review proof are comedy and pornography, because you can't explain why something strikes you as funny, and you can't talk a man out of an erection.
No, you can't.
I would argue the latter is not necessarily true.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I know some people that could talk some people out of some erections.
But it's a solid soundbite. But I personally found the movie Old School the premise of it was basically a bunch of older men hitting on college girls. Didn't really work for me. It all came down to whether or not you found the "we're going streaking" bit funny. I didn't find Old School all that funny.
Okay. Now, if I may just quickly for a moment, I fucking love Old School. Now, sure. I'm willing to, because recently when I made the 10-year anniversary podcast, I realized how much we grow up and how, you know what I mean? How much for me, I love Vince Vaughn, and my buddies and I at the time loved Vince Vaughn, so we were excited to see it. So again, I'm going into it with that I was going to love it no matter what, because it was Vince Vaughn and it was Will Ferrell and it was a comedy that me and my buddies loved. Doesn't make it a great movie, but I thought it was full of laughs.
Right.
But again, if you love the dudes in it, it's easier.
Exactly. I mean, and I realize that in this particular case, my taste is not necessarily with the mainstream, because I also find the movie Anchorman unwatchable.
Right. Now, see, that's one I liked in the theater, but cannot watch these days. I can't go back and watch it because I can't really get through it.
Yeah. My again, with Will Ferrell movies in general, and Old School was kind of a Will Ferrell movie, in the fact that in order to do a Will Ferrell movie, I think you have to not be in love with Will Ferrell. Mm-hmm. And so you have to cut out a lot of the shit that he does and let the comedy stuff go through. He is very funny, but you have to rein him in. And so many of his comedies, like Old School and Ricky Bobby and all of that shit. And I know it's Talladega Nights, but everybody calls it Ricky Bobby. Mm-hmm. But those films, they'll be like, okay, Will Ferrell now told a joke. Let's watch him make all the faces after he makes the joke.
Yeah.
And it kills comic timing.
And they started to take the reins off of him the longer his career has gone on.
Right. It's the whole, which is also why I think Holmes and Watson was like a step too far, because that was the ultimate masturbatory. But when you look at, like, say a director who's very skilled, like Jon Favreau, who really reined in, Elf is quick. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason that movie does hold up is because it's very quick, and you watch his manic energy, but you don't stay on any shots for too long.
No, it's definitely kept to the story. There's not, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of him whiffling and playing the cowbell.
Yeah. So yeah. And then the other big films he was known for were the Hangover films, which I have gone on record as saying that the first Hangover is I think I watched 1.5 of them, and the second one I found to be too pedantic to even make it through. But the one line from Hangover that I found legit funny, I am 99% sure was improv.
Mm-hmm. Which was?
I don't know if it'll make sense. It'll be funny in context. It's really in the moment. But I believe Ed Helms is talking to Zach Galifianakis, and Zach Galifianakis says something like, because he's got the baby on his chest, and he's like, I found babies all the time, and Ed Helms is like, really, where? Coffee bean.
It's great. I love those little lines. He has another one with the bag, and somebody's stomping on his bag, and he says, "Hey, there are Skittles in there."
Yeah.
Which is, But again, that movie I loved, but again, for me, it's an era thing. It's a me and the buddies thing. I mean, my friend Greg and I quoted, still to this day, we'll probably quote Old School to each other if we see each other, so it just worked out for us.
Exactly. But, I have more of a, my personal tastes is that I have more of a taste towards comedy-based, or not comedy-based. That's a bitchy thing to say. That's not what I meant to say. Character-based comedy over either actor-based comedy or zaniness-based comedy.
Right.
It's, I hate to go back to this because it's the go-to comedy for, it seems like, generations. But one of the reasons that really makes Ghostbusters rewatchable is there's not a lot of jokes in it.
Yeah, you're right.
There's very little, other than like, he slimed me and stuff. It's mainly what's funny about it is you get in their heads. And it's also why, you watch the film when you're a kid and it's all about Bill Murray. You grow up and you realize, no, really the person in that film to watch is fucking Harold Ramis. Because he has this extreme character and just never fucking drops it. And every line he says is believable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It couldn't, the line, "I collect spores, molds, and fungus" could be not a strong character line, but the way he delivers it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, my point is that Todd Phillips now says that he can't make edgy comedies like Old School, and he can't make edgy movies like Old School and Hangover because audiences are too soft. In the same year, Taika Waititi came out with one of my favorite films that I have seen in a long time about a kid with an imaginary Hitler friend. It's a kid in the Nazi youth who has Hitler as his imaginary friend.
Sounds hilarious.
It really fucking is.
I have not seen it. I'm not opposed to seeing it. It just hasn't crossed my path.
It hasn't. Yeah, it was a small release film. I mean, for one thing, it was a film about a kid in the Hitler Youth who's obsessed with Hitler.
Right.
It's not, and it's not. I don't know if you've seen Taika's film Hunt for the Wilder People. I mean, because Taika's now mainly known for like the Mandalorian finale and Thor Ragnarok, but
Called me a dickhead.
yeah, and his little bits like that are hilarious.
Yeah.
But but Hunt for the Wilder People is a film that it starts out really beautiful, and then something horrible has to happen to change the status of the film. And when the something horrible happens, it breaks your heart. Jojo Rabbit's a film about the Holocaust. Some shit bad stuff happens. It's an emotional film, but it's also funny.
Yeah.
You know, there's a scene in it where the Gestapo is raiding someone's house. I just saw this on YouTube with Stephen Merchant, because Stephen Merchant plays one of the guys in the Gestapo, where there's something like 31 characters all saying like Heil Hitler to each other for like a minute straight because they're greeting each other. And it's so Monty Python and ridiculous.
Yeah.
As they all like make eye contact and go, Heil Hitler, Heil Hitler, Heil Hitler. And it's, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a strange film, but don't tell me you can't make edgy comedies, especially in the fact that that film is 100% character based. It's not that you can't. When comedians talk about how you can't make jokes about anything anymore, that's horseshit. You just have to earn it, which is going to tie into my other rant in a minute. But you can do, there's this idea that people are too sensitive, and the fact that you can't talk about anything is absolutely horseshit. It's just you can't just throw it in out of nowhere. You have to okay, so I don't know if any of your listeners are necessarily going to know my history, or if any of my listeners have been listening long enough to know my history, but I am someone who, I grew up in the theater. I've been acting since I was the first time that I auditioned for a role and got it, I was in 3rd grade. I played the Artful Dodger in Oliver. I joke that I also played Baby Jesus when I was an infant, but that really was my folks and not me. And it was just that I was born in December. But so basically from 3rd grade on, I have been in the theater. I have directed. I have written things that have been performed. I have acted. So when I talk about craft and stuff, I'm not trying to oversell myself, but I'm not some asshole that just watches a movie on the weekends. I've lived the shit for my entire, it's like when you talk music, you shut up and you listen because it's something that is your passion that you've lived around. Yeah. So, I directed a couple of years ago. Well, it's been a number of years ago now, but I directed a comedy that a friend of mine wrote that involved a Freaky Friday style body swap where a kid was this is so awful to say when you break it down like this. It's such a terrible thing to say, but the kid Freaky Friday'd with his dad on his birthday, and the mom turned out to be a bit of a dominatrix. And so the mom like slipped him a Viagra. It was his birthday. Like slipped him a Viagra, like tied him up to the bed, and so there was incest involved.
You couldn't make that play today. People are too sensitive. That's what I say.
The way that you make that comedy work, and part of the reason I bring this up is because somebody saw the version that I directed, and then they liked it enough. They made a short film out of it, and I'm going to say that I think the short film was terrible. Because the short film didn't understand what we got right. And then if you are going to go that dark, the beginning has to be the relationships that you have to establish, the fact that the family loves each other. You have to establish a strong family dynamic that doesn't have to necessarily be in the script. It can be done with how they interact with each other, how they speak to one another, if they touch each other when they walk by. It was very important for me to establish the fact that the husband and wife were very, very, very in love with one another. And that's why you can kind of go there, because you're like, well, the wife has no idea. And so earn that dark twist by making by establishing the characters at the beginning. You earn the ability to go anywhere, and every audience that saw that went with it because we earned their trust.
Yes.
There's so yeah, you this idea of you can't do that these days is horseshit. As long as you establish that that you have faith in the characters, and that no matter where you go, even if it has a dark ending, that the characters are probably going to come out of it, different, but okay.
Boy, that kid's fucked up though, isn't he?
Well, that play had a particularly dark ending, so yes, that kid was fucked up. But at the end, because what happened, rather than switching back with his dad, the genie was kind of a horrible person and switched his girlfriend to his mom. So then, so the dad and mom were born over into the younger bodies, and the kids were stuck in the older body. I didn't like the ending of the play, I'll be honest.
No, you were the director. You should have directed that in a different direction.
Playwright has in plays. Playwright always has is kind of the top man there.
I know, but I'm going to assume you were bigger than him.
We were about the same size, and also much like in wrestling, he had more pull.
Fair enough. I understand. He was higher on the booking committee.
Yep.
I'd like to apologize to my listeners quickly for my squeaky chair. It's going to be going soon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he had more stroke in wrestling terms. Okay. So the reason that I kind of go off on that is that kind of goes along with the fact that let's talk about the movie that I saw on Christmas. So I saw Rise of Skywalker on Christmas Day. People probably already figured that out. You saw it before I did. Mm-hmm. We have spoken a little, and it sounds like we both enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I do have one legitimate beef with the direction the film was taken, and that's that that I know you didn't care for Last Skywalker. I did.
Last Jedi. Excuse me. You didn't care for Last Jedi. I did, but Last Jedi established a very strong character in Rose Tico as the everyman who idolized heroes, and then kind of by the end realized that she could be a hero. It was a great character arc, and she wasn't utilized in Rise of Skywalker enough, and for my tastes. Sure.
I've
seen the opinion. I look at it exactly the same as the years when the fans wanted the WWE to push Daniel Bryan, right? Fans, right, and they're unhappy with the booking of the movie.
You're not, and that's the thing is, I am trying to interact with the film that was given to me, and not because there are a couple of things that happened in Rise of Skywalker that, but if you'd asked me beforehand, I was like, well, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. And they gave it to me, and the film earned it. When I talk about the whole Kelly Marie Tran thing, there's the politics of how she got attacked. And I think that it opens up the argument that she got Jar Jar'd, which I don't think is what happened, because if you listen to what the author said, is that they really liked the character, and what they were trying to do was establish that she was basically Leia's number 2, but the scenes that where they were using footage of Leia for that ended up not looking very good. Right. The splicing Leia into the screen didn't work for the shots, and so the character got sidelined because of special effects. I'm just saying it could have been easily. I think it would have been a very interesting thing if you had, because the ending of Last Jedi kind of mirrors the ending of the Rise of Skywalker, and Last Jedi kind of mirror in the fact that Finn's going to sacrifice himself for the greater good. And I think that there was a chance to have had a conversation there that moved Kelly or Rose Tico's character forward a little bit better. And so what I'm talking about is the arc of the trilogy, and the fact that I feel like that was a little dropped. I understand what you're saying about booking, and that's kind of what I feel about a lot of what people are saying about the film. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the greater story, That is one storyline that I feel did get underserved for as big as this setup was. I think that they could have paid it off better. So that's my legit like critique. I think a lot of the other stuff is little piddly stuff because I mean, we're going to spoiler city now. I guess we went into but in order to discuss the film, you got to go into some spoiler shit. Like because if you would ask me before I saw Rise of Skywalker, if I wanted, I've been saying since Force Awakens came out that I didn't want Rey to be family to anyone.
Yeah, I remember.
And so when they made her a Palpatine, even when it happened in the film, I was like, eh. But then I got over that pretty quickly because I saw what they were doing with it in the film and why they did it in the film. And this idea that so there's stupid ass critique out there that says that the film was made by a Reddit thread, or that the angry fans, and that's the other thing that I really pissed off about, is this whole idea that Star Wars fans now are this horrible toxic bunch, when if you listen to anyone who works on Star Wars, anyone who has gotten attacked with the exception of maybe Kelly Marie Tran, they will tell you that it is roughly 5% or less of the comments they get are negative, that 95% of Star Wars fans are, even if you don't like something, you can have a discussion about it and you don't have to go, no, you suck and everything sucks.
Yeah, but unfortunately, those are the loud ones, and those are the ones that get the retweets, and those are the ones that get picked up by media. So then, of course, Star Wars fans are little bitches. Boy, it's similar to wrestling again, isn't it?
That's a lot of what I am really frustrated with right now, is the fact that if you like the movie, like the movie. If you don't like the movie, don't like the movie. It's perfectly possible to say not like a movie, like say Old School, that you have friends that like it a lot. Mm-hmm. You and I have never talked before about about our feelings of that film, because it's not that important.
No. And I mean, when I look at current wrestling, it's not for me. I'm not enjoying it. I don't watch it, but I also don't jump on Twitter and bitch about like, man, why isn't Kevin Owens getting a bigger push or whatever, right? Because if I'm not watching it, and it's none of my goddamn business. And if somebody does enjoy it, then that's their goddamn business, right? I mean, I'll be honest, I don't want to sidetrack to wrestling, but I cannot fucking believe Brock Lesnar is still the WWE champion. But goodness gracious, that's not important.
Oh, and the fact that they fed Kofi to him in seconds.
Yeah,
but by the same token, I don't watch it, but I do. I follow little things here and there, and so. Do you care about wrestling spoilers at all?
No.
You said no?
No, I don't give a fuck. Because I follow a lot of Twitter accounts and stuff, but I don't watch it. So, but I could not believe he was champ still.
No, I know. But I was going to say something that happened even last night, which it won't be last night.
No, please say it. Folks, it's January 7th at the time of this recording. If you're upset by the time this comes out, you got to move on with your life, man.
It was just you mentioned Kevin Owens, and so I am kind of happy that Kevin Owens is one of the characters that gets warmed up and cooled down and warmed up and cooled down, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So he's in a program right now with Samoa Joe, so please let both of them get a push. But they were they had a surprise tag team person that was supposed to come out last night, and to everyone's surprise, it was a very healthy, very tough looking Big Show.
Well.
And I never would have thought that in 2020 you would get a "We Want Big Show" chant going from an audience, but he looked good.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear he's healthy and all that stuff. But it's wrestling fans, Star Wars fans. It's all the same little sick little world. And again, I don't want to get sidetracked. But why the fuck is the WWE champion entering the Royal Rumble? That defeats the whole purpose of the Royal. Okay, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get upset.
I know.
I don't want to get upset. This is why I don't watch wrestling anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like the abused girlfriend that just kept, or boyfriend, let's be fair, who just kept coming back. Oh, look, I know he really hurt me this time, but he's changed, baby. Daniel Bryan's the champion now. He ain't gonna hurt me no more. And then you get another cuckold storyline, which Vince McMahon must get off on. I hate those storylines. The whole splitting up a husband and wife and this and that. But what I did enjoy was Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, and so in Rise of Skywalker, the reason I'm guessing that Lesnar's in the Royal Rumble is whoever eliminates him is going to be the ultimate winner, and so you're setting up a match that has stakes. I'm thinking.
Sure, but there's other ways to do that too, man. Fuck.
I agree with that as well, and the fact that he's the champ, so everyone should have a target on his back. So Rise of Skywalker.
And if he wins, the only one he can go after is the Universal title, and now Brock has both, and that's even worse because now you're champ of both titles. I don't want to talk about wrestling.
Which, again, I don't think Fox would want. Fox, which is owned by Disney, so, we're on track.
Who's the Universal champ?
Oh, Christ.
Awesome. It's fine. I love that neither one of us knew immediately. That's the only point I was trying to make. Who was the Skywalker when they talk about Rise of Skywalker? Do we ever get that?
Well, it means a couple of things, I think. Who the fuck is the champ? I'm sorry. I'm actually...
I don't know. Rachel, who's the Universal Champion in WWE? Don't look it up. Do you know? No, that's the other belt.
Yeah, not the black belt, the red belt.
You know what? She doesn't know either, but she's made very educated guesses. She said it's probably Brock, Seth, or Roman.
It might be Seth.
It might be. We don't know. But she's right. That's the booking of a couple years ago, the answer would have been it's either Orton or Cena. You know what I mean? So it's one of them. Who gives a fuck anyway?
So I believe Rise of Skywalker is either. I think they're basically talking about the fact that in the film we see that what they were planning on paying off in this film all along was that Leia had Jedi training, but unfortunately Carrie Fisher passed away before they could pay it off. Yeah. So we got a game cutscene instead. Did I hear her just say something?
She yelled out, huh? I think she yelled out Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Is that right? we still don't know. Fuck it. Fuck. It could be me for all we know.
It's anyway. So I think there was that. There was also the fact that it was the elimination of Kylo Ren and the reestablishment of Ben Skywalker. Ben Solo, yeah, but making him a because these films are very much again about blood versus found family, which is why I was okay with Rey being a Palpatine, but I back to that. And also the fact that Rey took the name or title of Skywalker. And the film. So I think that's
also,
what it.
Yeah, these films are also about redemption, right? Sorry to cut you off, but their arc is always redemption. I feel like in these.
Well, yeah, and so here, I actually had a conversation with my roommate about this last night because he'd seen Star Wars and we hadn't talked about it, and he was saying that his main beef with the film is that he didn't want Kylo to, if he did get redeemed, to get off as easy as he did. Which I understand. Which I get. That is also, I was also anti what I had heard referred to as Bendemption. I was also anti Bendemption. I was like, no, because I was I was like, no, fucker killed my favorite Star Wars character.
Right.
One of two, him and Chewbacca are my favorite Star Wars characters, and he fucking killed him, and he doesn't get off scot-free. The film does a beautiful job of having Harrison Ford come back, and again, it was a Harrison Ford that came back to play. It was not a Harrison Ford that came back to go, oh, man. Oh, wait, what?
She just yelled out Bray Wyatt. Really?
Oh, it is Bray Wyatt. The Fiend. Yeah, the Fiend.
He won it at Crown Jewel. Our wrestling reporter. He's had it since Halloween. Thank you to our roving WWE reporter, my wife.
Who?
And Shinsuke has the Intercontinental.
Oh, okay. Who's USA?
Who's USA? We didn't see that one. We don't know. Becky has one. And Bailey has the other. We're all caught up.
And tag teams are, who knows?
Irrelevant. The Viking Raiders or something.
Oh, they have the title. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
there you go. How interesting. Boy, do we love wrestling. But please, I'm actually enjoying our Star Wars chat. He does, he doesn't get off easy, but Vader gets off easy. But we don't get to see Vader kill like a Han Solo type. We don't.
Right. Well, and Vader, my roommate's point was that that Vader's death is slow and excruciating, so he still has to feel the pain.
Sure. Yeah.
My thing about Kylo is that with Kylo, Snoke was in charge when all the main reigning death that we see happens. Snoke's in charge of that. Snoke is the one who builds Starkiller Base. Snoke is the one who kills all the planets. Kylo wants to destroy the rebels, but he even is so focused on Luke that he really the only person in my memory, I could be incorrect about this, but the only person that we really see him just cold-blooded kill is Han. And Han's the one, quite frankly, all those people that got blown up on all those planets are like, oh, look, we don't know who any of these people are. We see their fear, their scared expressions, and then boom. There's not a huge connection to that. Not like you kill Han and you're like, fuck you killed Han.
Right. Die slow, motherfucker.
But by having a Harrison Ford that came along to play and not do the whole oh, you better, your mother loves you, and which is the Harrison Ford we get way too often. Because from what I understand, Harrison Ford also likes to do a lot of laundry before he goes and performs.
Vaca, he does.
And so we have a new euphemism, but he shows up, and by having it very clear that he's not like a Force ghost or anything, it's basically been playing the idea of what would happen if things had gone another way. So it's new dialogue, but it's basically a reimagination of what would have happened had he not killed his dad,
right,
in that trench.
Because it's that same moment almost.
Yeah, and including the whole imagining him, when he couldn't actually say, Dad, I love you, I miss you, and having Harrison Ford in a not overly wink and nod way of going, he said the line, yeah. But still going, I know. And so you're not doing the whole they use I personally believe the term fan service gets used way too often, but I don't really feel that they're doing the whole he's gonna say it. It's just sort of aw, that's cute. He probably heard the story of his folks say that and he remembers.
Beautiful.
Or it could be something that they did. Yeah, or it could be just something that they did as sort of a as a pet thing, because we all have little moments that we replay with our significant others.
Yeah, a great moment, but an unbelievably tough scene for me personally. But
oh yeah, Well, and then there's the fact that, and again, this is just praise to Adam Driver. So you've seen the film twice, right?
Yes.
Roughly how many lines of dialogue do you think Adam Driver has after he talks to his dad? Think about what happens for the rest of the film, and how he interacts with the Knights of Ren, and then he goes and talks to Rey and everything. So just roughly how many lines of dialogue do you think he has?
1, 2.
He says ouch. He says ouch.
I was thinking those things that I was running through my mind. He's not speaking. He's doing a lot with his face and his hands, and which obviously is showing how great of an actor he is then, right? But yeah, next one.
You don't notice that he's not talking. And even when he says ouch, it's a very Harrison Ford moment. He jumps off of a ravine and catches himself on a chain and just goes, ouch.
And he also does a very Han Solo stance at one point when he's kind of doing the Rocky Maivia, come on. Or the Shinsuke, well, yeah, and he does that little bit of a Shinsuke. Come on.
He also does the thing of, because this is where it is kind of beautiful when he fully becomes Ben Solo, where Kylo Ren is dead, his body language completely changes. But he does the thing when he's running and he shoots behind him without looking and takes out a stormtrooper, just exactly the way Han does.
Yeah.
In Force Awakens, he also, when he and Ren pass the lightsaber from back and forth, he does a variation of the same shrug that Han does when Chewie comes out of the ATST.
Yeah, it's great.
and all the bad guys realize they're fucked. And so this is, Kylo going, I got a lightsaber now. You're fucked. Oh, well.
Yeah.
And so it's just this beautiful sort of transformation from this character that we've seen for 2.5 films into a character that we had not seen before. And so you're able to believe that metaphorically, when Rey kills Ben, when Rey stabs Kylo, she kills Kylo and then heals Ben. I mean, even to the point of the scar on his face that she gave him in the first film is gone through the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that. And there's also the fact that he also realizes in the moment that when he comes upon Rey dead, that he knows that he's not the one to carry the light. He's got too much baggage. Yeah. And so he gives his life to Rey because Rey is the one to carry on. And it makes sense. There are some people, and this is where art, is subjective. There are some people that feel that when she came back to life and kissed Ben, that is the Reylo moment that people wanted. I personally think that their connection was not necessarily romantic and was definitely different. And so I don't necessarily think that kiss meant, we are going to hold hands and run off into the corner, into the sunset and have a little house and raise babies. I think it was more of we just destroyed everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get caught in the moment. I think you would have kissed anybody then. You would have kissed Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes you get caught up in moments like the first moment you met me in person.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's true.
You fucking grabbed me and kissed me on my face.
And what I was trying to do was a huge Bug Bunny kiss, and nobody, including you, laughed at all.
Still don't get the reference to the Bugs Bunny kiss. I don't want you to get mad at me.
That's okay. You just didn't watch enough Looney Tunes cartoons. But he used to, unoccasionally, dress up like a woman, and then when he'd get found out, he would, grab him, kiss him on the face, and run off.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. I understand. I'm with you.
Okay. And then some of the other, if we're going to talk about some of the other things that I think have been just drug through the criticisms that I find that are people that aren't paying attention to the themes of the films or anything like that. And this idea that, and this is, here's a big thing right here, is this conspiracy theory that somehow Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams were not making the same films. And that there's all these things hidden in Rise of Skywalker that are supposed to destroy things that were set up in Last Jedi. Well, first of all, you people fucking hated Last Jedi anyway. So why are you now saying Rian Johnson did this and J.J. Abrams is trying to remember what we already said about Disney being a invasive multi-billion-dollar industry? If you don't think that these directors are making films they might have some freedom in telling stories, but if you think that they are not told, by the way, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, you're a fucking idiot.
So, because I was going to say how ridiculous it is to have different writers write a trilogy. So let's say I agree. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying for conversation's sake. Mm-hmm. Say I agree with you about that. Then who is the Vince McMahon of Star Wars then? Who did write it? Who decided, okay, she's a Palpatine, and this happens, and this happens? Who made those choices then, if not these two dudes? Or do you think they made them together?
Well, no, I don't know that necessarily made them together. The people that the Disney executives, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, all these people that are the creative. Well, Bob Iger's in charge of Disney, so Bob Iger is so removed from it, he doesn't have anything to do with it. But Kathleen Kennedy and anyone working around her are so. Okay, well, to keep with the wrestling metaphor, what I'm saying is they have the high spots and they have the finish. Mm-hmm. Then the rest, there's a lot of middle way that can be called on the fly.
Okay. So do you mean then Kathleen Kennedy was the one who was like, it's Palpatine?
Well, I think it was, so the people, I don't remember, J.J. Abrams wrote, and I don't remember who wrote the first film. if when you write the first film of a trilogy and if you don't have your finish, then I mean it makes sense that if you are writing in 1977, if you are writing in 1975, you're writing Star Wars to come out in 77. I know there's the whole idea that he wrote this huge story and then ended up only doing a third of it, but we also know from hearing him talk over the years that he had the finish, but there was a lot in the middle that he wrote on the fly, including the fact that he wasn't 100% sure. Well, he said over the years different things about not being 100% sure if Luke and Darth Vader were going to be related. Because one interview he'll say, well, I knew that all along. And another interview he'll say, well, originally he was going to be this. So, you kind of have to take.
People talk about the 9-movie arc that he wrote, but I also remember the special features for the first one, number 1, episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Has a scene of him walking to his office, sitting down in front of a pad of paper going, now I just need a story.
Right.
So, which, you know what I mean?
So my bet is if this wasn't conceived like a movie that might have a sequel. This was conceived as a trilogy. And if you were writing a story and you're writing the first act, you're going to have, if you are Cesaro and Sheamus doing a 7-match arc, and your finish is that at the end they're going to become the Bar. Okay? Mm-hmm. You got me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
You might not know every high spot in all 7 matches, but if you want to go all 7, but you also might give yourself the out that if it's not going well, you can, if it's best, 5 out of 7, you could cut it off at maybe 6, because you have like Sheamus win one, then Cesaro win one. You're like, boy, people are not buying into this at all, and you cut it off early. But so you might have those escape valves, but you're still going to go, well, we want this to go. We're going to call it a 7-match arc, but we're going to kill it at 6 because we don't think we're going to go all the way to 7. That's not exciting. And maybe we'll have a shady finish for this. So then we know that we want to have them together. So we're going to have these finishes happen in a way that they're going to end up together. So what I'm saying is, so again, if we're talking about the Palpatine thing, Rey was Rey from nowhere, from no one, much like Luke was a farm boy. Luke becomes a hero Jedi. He's still a farm boy. Rey was raised by herself in an AT-AT as a scavenger, not having any idea she had any family lineage. Or Luke was raised on a moisture farm, not having any idea he had any special lineage. At a certain point, both of them find out they're attached to something bigger, with a history. In the case of Luke's, that went positive and negative. In the case of Rey's, went negative, and they both decided that found family is more important than genetic family, and do the thing. In the case of Rey, she becomes she does what Donnie Yen says in the Rogue One, I am one with the Force and the Force is one with me. In the case of Luke, Luke literally decides that he is going down the dark side and throws his lightsaber aside and decides that he's not going to fight, that he's going to be a pacifist. And that is what causes his father to have the emotional change in him that he has. But they both, becoming a Palpatine does not change the fact that Rey is Rey from nowhere, because she is. She just also found out later in her life that her last name was Davis or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So by finding out she's a Palpatine, what all that really did is now she knows that she can go to the doctor and go, okay, well, my dad had a penchant for skin cancer, so I should wear more sunscreen. And that's all that means.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that when J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy and whoever it is at the top wrote Rise of Skywalker, they didn't go into it going, I wonder if by the end of this, if the good guys and bad guys are going to win. They had the high spots. They had the finish point. And so if it turns out that the whole Rey lineage was something that was one of the things that you could call on the fly, I doubt it. But what happened if that is the case, by the time they got to the third film, they looked at it and they were like, well, how do we get back to that theme of found family? And and so that's, be much like when they killed Snoke in the second one, people were like saying that was Rian Johnson trying very hard to make sure that they're like, let's kill the past and connections to the past. No, they needed to kill Snoke because of the story that's going to happen in the next one. I guarantee you.
Yeah. And are we to believe that Snoke was just a creation of Palpatine then?
Look that way.
Yeah. So ultimately Palpatine's responsible for everything Snoke did.
They showed Palpatine with a vat of Snokes.
That's right. Yeah, that look like the tests or whatever.
Yeah, so. And we know that I think it's Dominic Monaghan who has the line about something like extending life and clones. Those are Sith technologies.
Yeah, perfect. Just slip that in there.
Yeah, because I know there are some people that were also like, I can't believe they didn't even bother to show us how Palpatine survived. And I was like, remember when they made a whole trilogy about how explaining everything was important and you guys bitched? Mm-hmm. So, what happened in this one? Palpatine's there and he's attached to bubbling tubes. Cool. Let's go.
That's right. Well, I enjoyed it. I think people need to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, and my thing basically is, I could continue to go through one by one on stuff, but I know I would be here all day on that. But my thing is, if you enjoy something, enjoy something. If you don't enjoy something, don't enjoy something. But don't try to tell everyone else they're stupid for enjoying it, or we're trying to make these huge arguments on why everyone else is stupid because you are the one who can see through and see that it's garbage, and that it's really all about the fact that movie fans have become conspiracy nuts now, and this whole idea of how Disney is trying to destroy Star Wars. Why are they trying to destroy it? Why did they pay billions of dollars for Star Wars to destroy it? But we fucking love what they do with Marvel.
I tell you, this one made me go on a lot of unfollows.
I will say there is a very, very close friend of ours that I have silenced on social media for a period of time. That I love them. I love them dearly, like a brother. But I have silenced him for a period of time because I can't take his retweeting of people bitching and talking about how bad the film is. And without naming him, because he might hear this, and let me say right now, I love you, brother. But I won't name him and shame him, but let's just say he's somebody who almost came to visit me when I saw you.
Oh, dear.
Love him. Love him like my brother. Have talked about going to visit him in his home place. But I can't handle all the see, this person points out how stupid this is.
Yeah.
Pissing me off. And I would rather not be mad at him. I would much rather let this pass by and remember that he is my brother than get mad and then have to go fuck that guy.
Well, my person I was referring to is sort of someone we also both know, but not somebody we consider a brother.
Oh, okay.
And it was a preemptive one because I knew it was going to hit as soon as the movie was out, and I was like, nope, I'm doing it first. So we'll leave it at that.
I got you. That was a smart move.
As Psycho Sid would have said, do unto the man as he would do unto you, but do it first.
And let's just say I may have done it first a long time ago.
Amen.
A long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Far, far away.
And there's your bow.
But, and The Mandalorian was fun.
Glorious. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Allegedly. I haven't seen it yet because it's not out in the UK, but you know what I mean. I called JJ on FaceTime and he didn't. He just told me about it. He didn't show me it because that's illegal too. I look forward to seeing it one day.
But basically, as I was watching it, I gave him a scene-by-scene breakdown.
Exactly. And he's such a glorious storyteller, and it was so descriptive. It's like I've seen it in 1080.
Yeah. Between that and all the GIFs everywhere, you can just piece it together.
Yeah, and I gotta ask, why the fuck did Disney not think this wasn't going to get ruined and downloaded? Like, did they really think the rest of the world is just going to wait till March to know what this fucking meme's about?
I think they knew better. But I also don't think I think that they were playing the game of what's more important, making all of the money on the toys right away or having the surprise element. And I think they decided they wanted the surprise element, and I don't think they expected it to go quite as nuts as it did. Because the fact that, I got into a routine where I was waking up on Friday morning, and before I checked my phone, before I showered, literally, I would set my alarm for about a half hour before I had to do anything, and I would watch The Mandalorian, because I knew that for some reason that was a show we decided it was perfectly okay to spoil the second it aired.
When did we decide that? Where was that vote? I wasn't invited. And again, my point is, like, in the UK, Disney Plus is not available. So there is no legal way to watch it in the UK. Disney knows that. So they know that people are either A, going to not see it, or B, they're just going to steal it.
It's only available in like 4 countries. It's like the US, like Belgium, and like Argentina. I mean, they're weird places.
And no wonder it's going to be the most pirated show in history, you dummies. But maybe they don't care, because I'm still going to order Disney Plus in March, motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah, because there's enough other really good content on it. And we still have Marvel shows coming, and we still have Cassian Andor coming.
And DuckTales is on there, and Chippendale.
DuckTales, although it's in the wrong order.
Yeah, what do they sort your shit out, Disney Plus?
Yeah, well, I mean, they've said they're going to fix The Simpsons because they fake letterboxed The Simpsons and messed that up. And they've got some stuff that's in the wrong order that they've sworn they're going to fix. But one thing I will point about about The Mandalorian that I do think is funny, just because people are holding the television show to a different standard than the film, and I don't fully understand why. I mean, The Mandalorian is good. It is good. But people are like, this is Star Wars. I'm like, okay, but it's not the Star Wars that, what you would normally think of as Star Wars. There's no Jedi. There's no lightsabers. It's a character-based show about one person. And it does definitely play to my enjoyment. But let's say that won't use that character because he does lose his lightsaber in the second film. I was about to say, let's say Luke lost his lightsaber in the second film, but he does. Mm-hmm. Let's say, Kylo Ren all of a sudden, has his lightsaber for 2 films, and then without explanation doesn't have it in the 3rd film. I think people would freak the fuck out. But nobody gives a shit that the first half of The Mandalorian, they make a big deal of talking about how amazing his plasma rifle is. And then when it disappears in the 4th episode and is not in the rest of the series, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. I didn't notice it, but I agree. And I mean, go with me down this road, if you will. Imagine Rise of Skywalker. When Rey goes to meet Palpatine? Imagine Mandalorian never happened. And imagine she turns to her left, and there's a little cot, and she lifts it open, and there's a baby Yoda. Fans would have gone fucking nuts. You ruined fucking Star Wars. What is this, Adventures in Babysitting? Right?
Yep.
They would have gone fucking nuts.
Yep. Yeah, well, here's something that is a little timeline for you as we're wrapping this up that I'll just point out. So in 1977, and I'm not going to get all these years right because I can't remember. It's not that important to me, so I'm going to make general years. But in 1977, a movie came out that nobody knew anything about. It was called Star Wars. And people were like, hey, I don't know anything about this movie. It was interesting. It was fun. Then in, I believe it was 1980, a second film came out. And audiences went, this is dark. This isn't anything like Star Wars. What the fuck? I don't like this as much. Then in 84, I believe it was, another film came out under the name Star Wars. And people went, oh man, the last one was all dark and great and gritty. This one has fucking murdered teddy bears in it. This is stupid. Mm-hmm. Then in 1999, a movie came out and everybody was like, oh, Star Wars is back. Star Wars is back. And everybody watched it and was like, the fuck is this Jar Jar politics stuff? This is bullshit. Mm-hmm. Then in 2003, possibly, now I'm really making them up. A movie came out under the name Star Wars, and people went, who is this teenager who, what's this? I hate sand. It gets in all your crevices. Man, he's pouty and he doesn't act very well. It sucks. Then a couple of years later, another Star Wars film comes out.
No, commit. You say a year. You commit to it. You started it. You finish it.
Shit, 2006. I'll say.
Good.
And then a film comes out and everybody's like, Darth Vader's only in it for a second. He just sort of looks up at the Death Star at the end, and still doesn't make any fucking sense. This whole trilogy sucked. Star Wars is stupid. Then in 2015, a movie comes out, and everybody's excited to go see it again. And you go, and you're like, it's just A New Hope all over again, but with a chick and a black guy. It's stupid. Then Last Jedi comes out. This doesn't feel like Star Wars to me at all, and it doesn't. All the characters are stupid, and Luke's not a hero anymore. It's stupid, and I hate it. Then in 2019, a film comes out, and everybody's like, "Ugh, J.J. Abrams is just trying to destroy the last film, and he's just going through point by point and trying to disestablish everything that happened before, and it ending in Palpatine. Stupid." So basically, if you want to look at it, the only film that people have been bitching about is the first one. So just remember, you're never, ever, ever going to please everybody.
Or the 5% of Star Wars fans.
Or the 5%. I mean, even as a kid, because I didn't understand it, I was a little bitty kid when my dad and I watched Empire Strikes Back. And I mean, I literally remember my dad turning to me at the end of the film because it was so dark and so not what we expected. My dad apologized to me. He was like, "I'm sorry, son. I thought this would be Star Wars again." And now, of course, it's everyone's favorite film because, again, you talk about watching things from a different perspective, and you grow as an audience member, and maybe the things that you thought were funny are not as funny to you anymore, or maybe the things that you didn't fully understand what the film was trying to do and the themes that the film was trying to explore resonate with you more than they did when you were a little kid. Mm-hmm. So it's another thing too. Maybe if something doesn't strike you, I will tell you that Rise of Skywalker, the first time I saw it, I was like, man, this is like a old adventure serial. The pacing on this is crazy. I wish they'd sit down and just take a minute to let characters breathe. You watch it a second time, and the movie, it's amazing how much it slowed down. Mm. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, these characters do have a little bit of time to breathe. It just the first time you were watching it, you are accepting a lot of information, and it feels faster than it does when you watch it later.
Absolutely.
So maybe, maybe let yourself change, and maybe don't let everybody else know that they're idiots for not liking something, and maybe Ricky Gervais can be nice to people.
And because he's being nice, what he's saying, and the Ricky Gervais side of that would be, stop being little bitches to each other and stop whining like little whiny little bitches. Yeah. That's what he's saying. Mm-hmm. You whiny little bitches. Says the guy who used to host a wrestling podcast where we would exclusively whine about wrestling. But that's why I can point fingers at you too, because I'm one of y'all sometimes.
Right, but then you also decided that it wasn't for you anymore, and you guys stopped doing that show. Not at all because you guys couldn't schedule or anything. You just decided to be adult about it.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. It wasn't the fact that our good brother Fitzy and I could not organize a fucking blowjob contest in a whorehouse. It's because we took the high road. So there, what a better way to end our first podcast of 2020.
With a belly laugh.
With a belly laugh. I love the belly laugh. It's been a wonderful 10 years of friendship. I look forward to 10, 20, 30 more. I'm not being over exaggerative about it. You know what I'm saying?
I hope we have 30 years left.
Yeah. You know what I mean? At best. I don't know. I'm not being negative. I'm just saying. All right. It's been real.
Love you all.
All of you. Each and every, well, except for you. Everybody else I'm cool with. Not you, JJ. The person knows who they are. They knew who they are.
Yeah, they know they are. Fuck that person.
Yeah, you. You know who you are.
Fuck them. You.
Yeah, that's right. Say goodnight, JJ.
Eat shit.
Eat shit.
Good night, JJ.
Let's say goodnight, JJ.
Good night, JJ.
Eat shit. Get off my podcast. Please get the fuck off my podcast. We're done now. Don't follow us. Don't subscribe. No, please do subscribe. Please do. It really helps. And leave a review for both of us. And tweet JJ and tell him how much you miss Mars Needs podcasts. And there you go. Okay, bye. Fuck you.
It won't change anything.
No, it won't change it. It won't change fuck all, but do it anyway.
But it makes me feel good.
Hey, it's true. Speaking of it won't change anything at all, but it makes me feel good and nobody gives a fuck. My new single came out on Apple Music today. So there you go. The Matt Lees Band.
Buy that shit.
I Left Mary. It'll be on all of them soon, but There you go. How exciting.
So here's my admitting to being a little stupid. Have the rest of them been iTunes as well, or have you only put them on Spotify?
No, they're all everywhere. They should all three of the releases should be on all of the stuff.
Oh, fuck me. I should have gone and bought them already. I was gonna go buy I might have a good friend who maybe sends them to me, but I still want to support him.
Who the fuck is it Rachel pirating my music again?
It's Elwood.
Elwood, and he's the blues guy. Oh, motherfucker. This is such a betrayal. It's like the time I got in JP's car, Just John's car, and my fucking band song was fucking playing in the car, and I was like, how do you have this song? I don't even have this song.
I might also have that on my iTunes, that same song.
Yeah.
That I definitely did not use I did not Google MP3 or YouTube to MP3. I certainly didn't do that.
Well, that's the same fucking thing Just Johnny did, so you're in good company. Stealing from your buds. Now, folks, I do want to say.
Let me buy it and I'll buy it.
All right, do it. It's on fucking iTunes, you know?
I will.
So put your money where your thumb is.
I will.
But my point from that is, if you listen to me on Spotify or any of the streaming services, I don't want to be braggadocious here, but I get 0.01 of a penny for each stream, y'all. So maybe leave it on repeat when you go to work tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Just let it run. Yeah. But if you buy it on iTunes, I think you buy it for like 79p here in the UK, 79 pence. I think your boy gets like 60 pence of that. So line the pockets. Oh. I've had music online now for about a year, I think. Roughly, right? And I have made, I'm going to just flat out fucking say it. There's no shame. There's no hiding it. Are you ready for this? Are you sitting down?
Mm-hmm. I am sitting down.
In 1 year, after a lifelong obsession and a lifelong passion of being a musician, the 2 songs that I have uploaded to all of the streaming services have made me a grand total of £3.24. So there you have it.
I know that's going to sound terrible, but that's actually more than I was expecting you to say. I'm very happy.
It's terrible. It means I have to change my settings because my, whoever they are, distributor people, I set that to 100. I was like, yeah, every time it gets to 100, send me that shit. Well, tell you what, that's going to live longer than me. Tell you that much, motherfucker.
Every time it gets to 5, send it.
Yeah, right? Tell you what, 5, let's have it. 2 is a coffee. I could cash out right now and buy 2 coffees at work. You know what I'm trying to say? So anyway.
I'm drinking out of a Tim Hortons mug right now.
Fuck I. So support your local musicians, I guess that's what I'm saying, and buy my fucking shit on iTunes, please, and put the song on repeat when you go to work. I'm not asking for too much, folks.
Do you know if it's on Amazon Music as well, or is it just on?
It will be everywhere. So cool. Now the original singles, those 2 are already everywhere: Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube, whatever, all of them. And the new single, "I Left Mary," by the time folks hear this, should be everywhere as well, because it's only just been uploaded, so it takes a while. But yeah, it should be everywhere. So stream it, download it, and then while you're at it, buy some other independent musicians shit too, you know?
I will be buying it literally after we hang up.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't realize I could buy it. I thought it was only streaming. So thank you for sharing that information with me.
No problem, and thank you for your $1.20. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
All right, folks, that's it. Fuck off. Bye. We rule at endings. That's what she said.
Well, we got good information there at the end. I swear to God, I did not realize your shit was for sale.
Well, there you are. Now you do.
And I will be. I don't care that you sent it to me. I will be buying it because I believe in supporting the people you enjoy.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You folks listen to your Uncle JJ and do what he says.
Motherfucker.